A lot of us wouldn't nourish ourselves better, especially at the start of the day. I'm talking breakfast here. If we made it very simple and less complicated. In fact, we just stop complicating breakfast. And I think a lot of times it has to do with us thinking it needs to be exciting. For most of us, or many of us, what it needs to be is consistent. And how do you get something like breakfast consistently? By taking the guesswork out of what it needs to be. And one way to do that is to just identify a food that you could always eat until you decide you don't want to eat it no more, and build a meal around that food. I'm going to use my example, eggs. Insert whatever food it is that you have no trouble eating and put it there. So I know eggs is something I'm going to have most, if not all mornings. It's a good source of protein, it tastes good, and it can go with multiple things. I could have it as a sandwich, which is what I'm having in this meal. I could have it as eggs and some fruit, eggs with potatoes. I could have eggs and oatmeal. I could have it in a wrap, scrambled eggs in a wrap. I could have a bagel and cheese, or a sandwich, a regular sandwich. And because the egg is the anchor, go watch a couple videos back where I talk about that, what an anchor is. It makes it so easy, if not simple, if not easy, to then build a meal, whether or not I've done it ahead of time. And for some of us, doing it ahead of time might be necessary just because of what your schedule might be like. Or, something might get in the way of you actually completing it. So it might mean prepping it the night before. It might mean prepping it ahead and freezing it so that you can take it out and have it. But if you are trying to get variety, not necessarily novelty, but variety, so you don't necessarily want to eat the same format of the meal, then this is what you want to do. Identify the anchor. Know how you can build a meal around it, or know that you can build that meal around it, and then identify a format that could suit your needs, taste on any given day. I mentioned what they are. A sandwich could be a breakfast wrap or a burrito. It could be just some scrambled eggs with oatmeal, or just fruit, or just a plate generally of eggs plus other things that will make it a little balanced. Your protein, your carbs, your produce, which could be veggies and or fruit, some healthy fats, a little something to make it taste nice or bring it together. As long as you have a format, and a sandwich, a breakfast sandwich, is a format, and you know how to build a sandwich. Most people know how to build a sandwich. That's not the hard. In fact, it's not hard to build a sandwich. You know what it's gonna take to build a sandwich, and you just go from there. So you've identified what your anchor is. In this case, it's eggs. Then you add other things to it to get it complete. You got your bread. You've got your eggs, which is your protein, and there's some salmon in it as well. So that's additional protein plus some healthy fats in there. Then there's lettuce, and then there's cream cheese. Then there's a little chili crunch for a little heat, and a nice addition or flavor-wise to the sandwich. It's not fancy. It's very simple, very basic if you want to look at it that way, but it gets the job done. It's tasty too. You could swap out the eggs for maybe some sausage, like chicken sausage or turkey breakfast sausage, and do something similar. You could change up the vegetables. You could change what you put on the bread. You could use some cheese as opposed to, this is cream cheese, but you could use some kind of hard cheese instead. You could use avocado, put avocado in there for the healthy fats instead. The point is, the sandwich is just a format, but building the meal does not change. Building the meal is the same, regardless of the format. And so when it comes to building breakfast, we need to stop making it complicated. Got some protein, add some carbs, and that could include fruit or starchy vegetables or some grains. Add some kind of produce in there. Again, that could be fruit or it could be some kind of veggies. Add some healthy fats if it's not already part of, maybe say, the protein. So something like salmon has some healthy fats in there. Additional healthy fats come from avocado. It come from the dressing that's made with some olive oil. Could be come from some kind of seed butter that you might have. Building a sandwich does not take a lot. Building a meal with a sandwich via a sandwich does not take a lot. Use what you have, find an anchor, look at the components that you can add to the meal, have something that can bring it together, and then enjoy it. Also, a sandwich is on the lower effort end, or can be on the low effort end, because it's just assembling. Unless you want to cook something like I did with the eggs, then cooking is part of that meal building exercise. But as a format, a sandwich is probably one of the easiest ways to build a meal. Swap out eggs with some deli meat. It's just a matter of assembling. There's no cooking involved. So that means that on a capacity scale or energy expenditure scale, it's still very low. It doesn't require a lot of skill. It doesn't require a lot of energy. It doesn't require a lot of special ingredients, nor does it require you to spend a lot of time putting it together. It's just a matter of taking whatever ingredients you have and assembling it. So when you think about breakfast, try not to box yourself in. Start with something that you know you will have, or something you can build the rest of your meal around, and then choose a format that's going to honor your capacity and energy and how much effort and whether or not there's cooking involved. Choose that format and then add supporting ingredients that's going to make that meal a little more balanced, and build from there. I don't see how much simpler it can be. Don't let these people out here trick you into thinking that you need some special thing for breakfast. You do not. It really is as simple as opening up your fridge and your cupboard, looking at what you have. Chances are you have one item that can fit any of these groups: protein, carbs, produce, healthy fats, something to make it taste yummier, and go from there. Please, I beg you. I share more on ways to do this in the weekly dose, and you can join that by clicking the link in the description. Breakfast doesn't have to be a sandwich, but in utilizing this method, I'm sharing with you how simple it is to build a nourishing meal using one of the simplest formats, or meal types, if you want to call it that. Whatever you want to call it, I call it a format, because there are different ways you can bring something like this together. The bread could have become croutons. I could have cut that up, turned it into croutons, added more salad. Instead of frying the egg, I could have boiled the egg, added some beets to it, maybe add something that's going to add a little crunch to it, and turn that into a salad as opposed to a breakfast sandwich. Could be a breakfast salad too, that's also an option. But the point there is, the format doesn't matter as long as you build a meal around something you know you are going to have. So let this be the reminder to eat some breakfast to start your day. If you can get a meal in earlier in the day, or start getting meals in earlier in the day, it makes, especially if you're on your feet all day, or you have the kind of day that keeps you moving, you need that kind of energy. Walking around or trying to do all of this on zero fuel, and coffee is not a meal. Yes, I'm going to repeat that. It is not a meal, no matter how you want to convince yourself. It might blunt your appetite and you think you don't need a meal, but check the energy crash that you might have. Check the jitteriness that you might have later on. Check the inability to focus that you might have later on. It's not worth it. So get that meal in, get that breakfast in, get that breakfast sandwich in. And the thing about breakfast sandwiches is you can pre-make them. So assemble them, wrap them in foil, pop them in the freezer, and when you come up, when you're ready for them, you can take them out and reheat them in the oven or something where there's dry heat. If you use a microwave, it's gonna make the things, you're gonna make everything soggy, possibly. But again, if you're okay with that, then that's what might stop you. So yeah, you can prep them ahead and freeze them and then reheat them, or you can prep parts of the meal and then assemble it when you need to. So maybe you fry the eggs ahead of time and then that's the only thing you reheat, and then you assemble, you know, add the lettuce, the salmon. It doesn't have to be this exact kind of breakfast sandwich that I'm sharing, but you get the idea. Build or get the ingredients or components ready and then build when you are ready to either eat or take it with you if it's a case where you need to go. I will repeat, building meals is not that difficult. It's very simple. And I want to err, sometimes it's even easy. In fact, I would encourage you to make it as easy as possible so that you can nourish yourself, you can feed yourself, because that's the ultimate goal behind building a meal, to nourish yourself. That's the spiel, that's the hill I will stand on. That's the one thing I'm going to always be shouting from the rooftops. Build meals to better nourish yourself. And you can't nourish yourself if you don't start the day fed. So that's the whole point too. A breakfast sandwich is not just a sandwich, it's the start to a fed day. It's a start to a fueled day. And I hope you do that. See you on the next one.